quick, because we very, very forward people, man. Because Israel, man, you got to bring it all out, right? We got to bring it all out. This is the book of Jeremiah, right? This is Jeremiah chapter 4 and verse 22. He said, for my people is foolish. He said, they have not known me. They are childish children, and they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good, they have no knowledge. You see that? Let's go to the same Isaiah. Right, let's go to the same Isaiah. Right, let's go to Isaiah. Bear with me. Let's go to Isaiah. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 1, right? This is Isaiah chapter 1, right? Isaiah, let me grab it from my other Bible quick. I'm going to grab it from my other Bible. This Bible is all torn apart. Bear with me. This is the book of Isaiah. Right. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 1. Right. Let's read it. Isaiah chapter 1 and verses 3. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 1 and verses 3. Let's read what the Most High said. Isaiah 1 and 3. That said the Most High, that said the Most High. Let's read it. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 1 and verses 3. Right? It says, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master creeps. So these are two animals that are not that much smart. They are not like super smart, right? However, the Most High is comparing the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Latino, and Native. The Most High is comparing us to these two animals, right? Sometimes people say, the ox, they're dumb, because the way they operate, things like that, right? But they're hard worker. Let's keep in mind. He said, but Israel does not, you see? So, but Israel does not know. My people do not consider our sinful nation a people laden with iniquity. You see that? A people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward. You see? Why should ye be stricken anymore? So the Most High is letting us know we are always sinning. We are always going against the Most High. We are always doing wickedness, right? So let's go to prove it about the pork, because our people, they don't believe it. Let's prove it. So this is the book of Isaiah chapter 65 and verses 3. A people that provoke me, let's read verses 2 again. He said, I have spread out my hand all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in the way that was not good after their own thought. So we think that it's okay. We can eat shrimp, we can eat pork, we can eat this, all these things. The Most High say, listen, man, that's what the scripture say. There is a way that seems righteous unto a man, but the end thereof is what? Death. The Most High, he say, there is a way that seems righteous to a man, but the end thereof in the book of Proverbs, right? And let's continue. He say, a people that provoke me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifice in garden. So when you look at the word garden right here, you just say in houses, because Adam, he was in the garden, right? He was in the Garden of Eden. So let's keep in mind, he's just referring to a house. It's the same thing. He said, and burning incense upon altars of brick, which remain among the grave. Why? Because we're living in the midst of sin. That's why the Most High is saying that. And lodge in the monument, which eats swine flesh. You see the word right there? Which eats swine flesh. And broth of abominable thing is in their vessels, like shrimp, lobster, scallop, I don't know, snake, rat, all these filthy things that we eat, man, right? He say, which say, stand by thyself, come not nigh to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, ooh, a fire that burneth all the day. Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but I will recompense, even recompense into the bosom. Right? So that's what we got to keep in mind. The Most High say, listen, man, all the evil we're doing, he's going to pay us back. We're going to pay for it. Those that are eating abominable things, this is the main reason why you say you can't eat no pork. Let's prove it. Another one. In the last book of the prophet Isaiah, let's go right here. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, right? And we're going to read verse 15, right? We're going to read 15 through 18. He say, Yahweh judgment against the wicked. You see that? The wicked of our people. Right? He said, for behold, the Lord will come with fire. Because we know in the past time, the Most High destroyed with water. This time, he's going to destroy with fire. He said, for behold, the Lord Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariot like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by the sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. Woo! He said, they that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens, that means in the houses, behind one tree in the midst, eating swine flesh. Again, look at that. Eating swine flesh, and the abomination and the mouse, which is rat, right, shall be consumed together, said the Lord. For I know their works and their thought. It shall come that I will gather all nations in tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. Amen. Hallelujah. Right? So we all got to keep in mind. So we don't deal with the swine, right? We leave that thing to the heathen. We leave it to the heathen, okay? To the Moabite, things like that. We don't want to mess with it, right? Let's continue. Let's read this article. You say, the soul food, right? So you say, let's read this thing. He say, for example, you say, let's jump to the other paragraph. He say, and she had some way of cooking that are well known in the USA today were reported in West Africa before 1500. You see, before 1500. We were already doing this thing before. They include a deep frying fish. Listen, I eat fried fish. For example, when you go to my hometown, which is the land called a Kingdom of Judah, which is today Benin, in West Africa, you know, near Nigeria and Togo. Guess what? You go on the street or in the market, you see this nice mother and woman. What do? They fry fish and they sell it ready. You buy it, you eat it. Already. Who taught them that? It was the Most High through our forefather and our foremother. You see what I'm saying? He said, they include deep frying fish and barbecuing meat. Whoa! Barbecue meat? Really? I thought that came from Esau. No, it's not from Esau. How do we know? Let's prove it. Let's go in the book of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. Let's just go to Romans 15 and 4. I want to prove something right there. Cool. Let's go to Romans 15 and 4. This is the book of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. Because a lot of people, they don't understand, right? A lot of our people. Right. This is the book of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. He says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scripture might have hope. So we have hope that, guess what? That the barbecuing and the deep frying of fish or meat whatsoever, guess what? Who was doing it? The Israelite, the Jew. How do we know? Let's go in the book of Exodus in the beginning. But this was already happening. Because we know when we go in the book of Genesis in the beginning, right, with Adam and with Abel and Cain, they were doing what? Peace offering, right? And thanksgiving offering. Those were the only two offerings that was in the beginning, right? The other one, the sin offering came later on. But in the beginning, it was just the peace offering and what? Thanksgiving, pretty much, right? Let's go right here in the book of Exodus. We know for sure, yeah, barbecuing, literally it was given to the so-called Native Indian, the so-called Negro. We were the one. How do we know? Let's go right here. This is the book of Exodus, right? This is the book of Exodus, right? Chapter 12, and we're going to read from verses, let's start from verses 8. This is about how we're supposed to eat the Passover. The Passover that we will be celebrating on the 14th of the first month of the year. The first month of the year is the month Abib or Nisan. And the year began when? In the spring season. According to the moon. Based on the moon. Based on the moon, right? Based on the moon. So let's keep in mind, Lord willing, we should be celebrating the Passover on the 27th March. March 27th, we will be keeping the Passover. Sundown, which will be a Shabbat, right? It's sundown, right? Let's keep in mind. All praise to the Most High. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12, and we're going to read from verses 8. He said, and they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire. Woo! Because barbecue, it just means roast with fire. You can use wood, you can use charcoal, whatsoever, either charcoal or wood. And that's the best barbecue with good flavor, all thing, right? Let's see again, because before I came to America, my parents, they always barbecue all the time. When there's any feast, or when we used to keep this pagan They all these things. Guess what? We always barbecuing chicken, lamb, a cow. We barbecue. Look, everything with what? Wood and charcoal. Wood and charcoal. Wet season, right? Let's see. He said, roast with fire, and that's why the word Northern Kingdom say what? Carne asada. Carne asada. It just means what? Roasted with fire. It just, a lot of people don't understand. Now, when you say carne asada, some people think it's just literally talking about beef. No, carne asada originally was applied to the lamb, right? Because when you go read the Bible in Spanish, literally it's written as what? Carne asada is asada, which is what? Roasted with fire. He said, and they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread. Well, that's why I was referring to like pizza, right? And with bitter herbs. For example, Esau, they don't eat bitter herbs. I eat bitter herbs all my life because bitter herbs, they have virtue. So, for example, if you got diabetes or you sick, you are not feeling good, when you take some bitter herbs and they'll boil it for you and you drink the water, it's super bitter, but when you drink it, guess what? It heals you. You clean your system. You'll be able to go, and use the toilet. You feel like good. You see what I'm saying? Bitter herbs. I didn't even know that they was written in the Bible until the Most High woke me up. I'm like, whoa, we eat this thing all the time. I never knew this thing. You see what I'm saying? So, all praise to the Most High. So let's continue to say, he said, and unleavened bread and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat it not of it raw, nor sudden. Now, the word sudden, it just means you boil it. Like when you go to West Africa, country like Benin, Nigeria, you see anytime we're cooking any meat, we usually either will barbecue it with wood or charcoal or we'll sudden. It's always sudden. Like they'll put all the spices, all the ingredients, whatsoever, and they're gonna boil it. It comes out good. They make tomato soup with it, all type of thing, right? So he said, eating all of it raw, nor sudden at all with water, but roast with fire his head with his leg and with the pertinence thereof. So where did they learn from? It's so-called black people, so-called Latino and Native Indian, right? That's why if you take a look at Northern Kingdom, in Southern Kingdom, we eat the same type of food. You look at Northern Kingdom, what do they eat? They eat rice, beans, yuca, plantain. Same thing we use in Africa. Now, when you take a look at the Ethiopian, shalom, 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 king. When you take a look at the Ethiopian, guess what? Do they eat plantain? They don't eat plantain. Ethiopian don't eat plantain. When you take a look at the Kenyan, they don't use plantain. They don't eat plantain. Who eat plantain? The so-called Latino and Native Indian and the so-called blacks. That's in our culture. The Most High bless us with those things. We're the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltness, what is it good for? That's the thing our people need to understand. We got to understand. Right? Let's continue reading this article. This is super, super interesting. Because Esau been lying, talking about, Black History Month, February. Man, get out of here, man. Get out of here. He said, this kind of food were critical to the creation of Southern, Southern kitchen. When you talk about Southern kitchen, it's talking about Louisiana, Alabama, all those places, right? Where you still have the so-called black people, they see influence, right? The kitchen. You go to Louisiana, Alabama, all the, they still like play a very, very important role in the diet of America, right? Let's continue. He say, in time, American food, soul food. He said many of these food with roots in African American culture came to be known as soul food. You see, soul food. History professor and author Frederick Opie said that the name was created during the Black Power movement in the mid to late 1960. It was a way to identify food that show the history of African American. You say today we don't have that. We lost it. Most of our people don't even think about it. We don't even talk about it. We don't discuss this thing anymore. We only talk about basketball, football, basketball, things that we don't even bring this thing to the rest of our people. Right? We don't do that. This is the main reason why we are exalting the brother and the sister. Those that are still, they learn, they know how to cook. And, we exalting them to start helping our nation. We need it. We got to start eating properly. We got to go back to our roots. Because the Most High, the Most High, those are the things the Most High looking at. It's good now we're keeping the commandment. We got to start adding more things to it. Like I say, it's a beautiful thing. It's a blessing that the brothers some came so they were able to buy land until the Moses is going to destroy Babylon the Great, so they can grow their own crops, they can grow their own corn. So we know what we're eating, man. I have a project I'm working on myself right now with the brother in West Africa, where we're pushing them. They gotta grow their own thing instead of waiting upon Esau to bring all this GMO food from America, from all these, because the same thing happening in West Africa right now. Our people being oppressed down there, and the worst thing that happening to our people in West Africa is that they don't have access to the information. This information we have access to right here, our people in Africa, they don't have access to it. They don't have access to it. Sometimes they may have issue with like the internet, the connection is not good, things like that. You see what I'm saying? Because they're oppressing them. Because Esau is still oppressing our people over there. Right? So let's continue. He had that soul foods is also food that African American began to create a long time ago to eat with dignity. You see, that's what we need. Today we don't want to eat with dignity. We're just looking for Burger King, pizza, I don't know. What are the food? They're talking about pasta, spaghetti. Listen, I tell you, man, I cook my own food. Straight up, I tell you. The only time I go outside to eat, only I go to the Peruvian restaurant to buy the chicken. That's the only restaurant I go to. Except for that, I cook in the house. I make tomato soup with chicken, maybe lamb. It could be goat. I make sometimes stew, spinach stew, spinach soup. Listen, man, I cook in the house. Good. I cook good. And I made it just as the way my parents taught me. Because, I have my auntie, she came over here early and she started eating this junk food. She didn't last, man. She was diagnosed with cancer. She started eating McDonald's, all this burger. The next thing you notice, she got a cancer. She died, man. She died like 2 or 3 years ago. My auntie. It's the food. That's the main reason why we got to make sure that we start cooking. Listen, we can go, all the brothers and sisters, they can go on YouTube and take a look at, okay, African or Nigerian, cooking, tomato soup, chicken soup. Very easy. You can change it if you don't want it to be spicy. You can change it your way, or whatsoever way you like it. We got to stop. These are forefathers. Look at that. They eat with dignity. You see, as enslaved people in the diaspora. Let's take a look at the word diaspora. Because a lot of people don't know. We got to show them. We got to show our people. Let's see what is the meaning of the word diaspora. Let's take a look at diaspora. What does it mean? Because a lot of people don't understand. Right? As soon as I'm saying, it's popping up right here. You see that? Let's read it. You see that? Let's take a look at it. And this, I bet you, what is that? Is that Wikipedia? All right, this is from where? Is that Wikipedia, I'm assuming? Let's check it out. Watch what he say. He say, diaspora. Now, the dispersion of the Jews beyond Israel. Woo! Really? So that's why there is a brother that had a son. And he's singing for what? The diaspora. He's saying for all the so-called Negro that were taken to America, into, I'll say Colombia, Haiti, El Salvador. Listen, he mentioned all the country. And this brother, he was born and raised in Africa. So he died maybe 20 years ago. Top singer. He sing for the Jew. So he sing for the Jew. Watch it. He said, Jews living outside Israel. You see, with the diaspora today. He said the dispersion of any people from the original homeland. Let's take a look right here. He said diaspora. This is from Wikipedia, right? Is a diaspora is a scattered population whose origin lies in a separate geographic locale. Historically, the word diaspora was used to refer to the mass dispersion of a population from its indigenous territory, specifically the dispersion of the Jew. Whoa! All praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High. Let's go right here. We'll prove it. Let's go right here. Actually, let's go to the Blue Letter Bible quick. Let me see if I can get it quick right here. Let's go to the James. Is that what I want? Let me see. I want to get James. And I want to get First Peter. So let me get it. First Peter first. Okay, First Peter 1 and 1. Let's get it. First Peter 1 and 1. Let's read it. Right. First Peter 1 and 1. Right. First Peter 1 and 1. Because a lot of people don't know. We're going to prove that. Because our people, we've been deceived so long. So this is the time that we know who we are. Let's read it. Okay? Let's read it. So Peter is using the same word. Peter is using the same word. Let's read it. He said, this is from the Blue Letter Bible. He said, First Peter 1 and 1. He said, Peter, an apostle of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, to the strangers scattered. Whoa, stranger? Really? Why? Because today, for example, some of our brothers, they call themselves Salvadorian. Some call themselves Mexican. Some are people, they call themselves African American. Some call themselves Nigerian. Some call themselves, Congolese. And the list goes on and on. We got brothers living in China. They call themselves Chinese. Right? Let's see, he say, scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia. This is the main reason why Paul wrote a letter to the Galatians. These were Jews. These were Jews born and raised outside of Jerusalem. He said Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia, right? He said elect according to the foreknowledge of Yahweh the Father, through sanctification of the Spirit, unto obedience and sprinkling of the blood of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Grace unto you and peace be multiplied. Amen, hallelujah. Right? Let's read another one. Let's go right here. Let's go to James 1 and 1. Let's get it. James 1 and 1. Let's go to James 1 and 1. We'll go to James 1 and 1. Because it's the same thing. It's just our people don't understand today. James 1 and 1. Let's get it. James 1 and 1. James 1 and verses 1. Bear with me. James 1 and 1. Let's read it. Same thing. Let's read it. He said, this is the book of James, chapter 1 and verses 1. He said, James, a servant of Yahweh and of the Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Greeting. Who? The so-called Latino and Hispanic and the so-called Negro. Scattered. We rule Europe. Right? We rule Europe for thousands of years, right? We rule Europe. Written in so many books. But our people, we don't want to read. We've been dispersed. Because the Most already say, if you don't keep the commandment, listen, I'm going to sift you as somebody sift the corn. And that's what literally happened to our people. We've been scattered throughout the fuck of this earth because of our sins, because of our iniquity. You see that? He said, James is servant. Let's go to the book of Romans. Let's prove it. Romans, same thing. So the diaspora are the Jew, the so-called Latino and Native Indian, scattered throughout the fuck of this earth. So we ought to go back to our heritage. We can eat the way Esau eat. We got to show Esau, you know what? The Most has been waking us up. The Most has taken us from darkness and brought us to light. So we got to prove Esau. Because this is what is scaring Esau right now. Because guess what? Once we start cooking our own food, guess what? Esau Wall Street is going to crumble. He's going to, listen, Esau Wall Street is going to start crumbling. Why? The more, for example, if most of the Israelites that are in the truth today, if they start cooking in the house and doing everything like as our forefathers used to do, guess what? Most of these restaurants where we go spend billions or millions every year, guess what? They're going to start losing business. You see what I'm saying? That's how we got to show them. That's why we don't have to protest like some of our people with the lack of wisdom. Hosea, for instance, say, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Right? They be protesting, wasting the time talking about this. Listen, man, it's not about that. We wake up, we understand, we know who we are. Guess what? We got to start living the way the Most High said we got to live. We got to start eating the way our forefathers used to eat before. We can have this. Esau, he come on the TV talking about, Dorito, blah, blah. No, we don't want that, buddy. You keep it for your own self. If I want chips, I go buy plantain, green plantain, and I'll air fry it or I'll deep fry it in oil. Easy money. Easy money. I don't have to buy your Dorito. I'm not buying your Dorito. Because anyway, you want me to eat your Dorito so I can get sick, right? Get all type of disease and go to the hospital, and then you prescribe me with some drugs that are going to kill me more, like jack me up more. No, man, I ain't dealing with that. And I don't drink soda neither. Soda, I don't drink it. I make my own smoothie in the house. Those are the things we got to start learning. Look at our forefathers. They were like on top. Watch, I have another article right here that I want to read. Let's see. I have this article right here too. Watch this. This is the powerful one too. Look what he said. He said, how enslaved Africans helped invent American cuisine. Really? How did we help them? Let's see. Let's see what we did to help them. We taught them how to cook, how to do everything, right? Let's see. Again, you see, this is the brother. This is the brother called Hercules. Hercules. You see, a mighty cook. But guess what? They didn't put him in the history. They took him out. Watch this. I'm going to read from here. Watch this. There we go. Let me read this. Watch this. He say, Hercules, George Washington head cook in the 70 AD. Because Esau doesn't know how to cook. Esau, they don't know how to cook. Now, guess what? When you go into any restaurant, the main people you see, the main chef cooking is always Northern Kingdom or the so-called black. It's always Northern Kingdom or the so-called blacks. Listen, check it out. The majority. Now, doesn't mean Esau does not cook. They cook, but they can't cook the way we cook. Because we're the salt of the earth, man. We're the salt of the earth. Watch this. So, because he got so many Edomites, why did he pick a so-called Negro? Or why did he pick a so-called black man? Why? If Esau was that good, they were so smart, great, like they say today, guess what? How come he didn't hire like Edomite to cook for him? He said, escaped while in Philadelphia with the president and was later freed under the terms of Washington's will. He said there was a practical reason indigenous African food made it to the New World. New World, right? When Africans were put on slave ships, Opie said the reality of trying to keep your cargo alive, your cargo, which is literally who? The slaves, right? And making money of them, you see, that's what Esau said. You see that? Let's prove it. Let's go in the book of Deuteronomy. The Most High said it. It's just that we don't listen, man. Israel, we don't listen. We don't listen. We don't listen to the Most High. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. He said, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other God, which neither thou nor thy father have known, even wood and stone. Is referring to what? The cross from the Christianity, and the stone from what? The Kabbalah stone in the Mecca, right? With the Arabs, right? Let's jump to verse 68. This is the one. In verse 68. He said, and the Lord, Deuteronomy 28:68, he said, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt. Because the word Egypt, let's go over here. Let's go over here. The word Egypt. What is the meaning of the word Egypt? Let's go to Exodus 20 and 2. Right? Let's go to Exodus chapter 20 and verses 2. What is the meaning of the word Egypt? Right? This is the book of Exodus chapter 20 and verses 2. Let's read. He said, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, comma, because when you look at comma, it just means they want to give you what is the meaning. The land of Egypt, comma, out of the house of bondage. So the word Egypt just means is a house of slavery, it's captivity, right? That's the main reason why America is called Egypt, spiritual Egypt and Sodom. Why? Because our people is enslaved in this country. Who? Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom. These two prophets, right? Let's go back over here. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 28. So this is the book of Deuteronomy 28, and we read verse 68. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with sheep. By the wherewith I speak unto thee, thou shalt see no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. You see? Because Esau, the wicked, he be saying, oh, black sold black, blah, blah, blah. Yes, we did that at some point. We know Joseph and his own brethren, they sold them to the Midianite or to the Egyptian, things like that. We don't understand. At some point, we were doing that, definitely. But this one, let's take a look at it. He said, thou shalt see no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Who? So do we have enemies? I thought we all the same. I thought we all friends. He said, unto your enemy for born man and born woman, and no man shall buy you. Redeem. The word buy just means redeem. Right? You see, Martin Luther King, that coon, he was not able to save us. He cannot save us. Because he was not put on the tree for us. Yahweh Shai is the only one that can save us. Who redeemed us from the Egyptian, from the hand of the Egyptian? The Most High through the hand of his prophet Moses. The Most High through who? The prophet Moses. So who redeemed us this time again from Babylon, from America? Who? Yahweh Shai Mashiach. The Most High redeemed us through who? The hand of Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Right? So Martin Luther King, which is what a coon, a sellout, you know, he said he got a dream. What dream he got? I don't know what dream he got. Right? I respect more who? Malcolm X. I respect more Malcolm X. Malcolm X, he knew straight up that Esau was our enemy. He knew straight up. Though he was off with the other enemy, the Ishmaelite, guess what? He got more common sense. Malcolm X, I respect him more than Martin Luther King. That's just me. Martin Luther King was a coon. He wanted us to be holding hand with Esau. Meanwhile, Esau is being oppressed until this very last day, man. Well, Esau still oppressing the so-called blacks, Latino, until this very last day, calling us war. Illegal, we ain't got no paper, you know, things like that, right? Let's continue. He say, let's continue reading this. He say, when Africans were put on slave ships, I say, the reality of trying to keep your cargo alive and making money of them made that you found out, you see that? You found out what this group of people ate, you see? So you find out what this group of people eat, right? And you make sure that they were fed that and given that when they first arrived in America. Fruit and vegetable brought from Africa, you see that? Shalom King, Shalom, Shalom, and Barakata, Yahweh, Barakata, Yahushua, and all praises, all praises, all praises, all praises. He said, fruit and vegetable brought from Africa flourished in America in large part because enslaved Africans planted their own garden to supplement the major ration provided by the captor. You see that? So Esau was not giving them enough food. You see that? Esau was oppressing them. So what did they do? The Most High give them the spirit and they start making their own garden. You see that? They grow their own thing in the backyard. You see, that's what we got to do. We got to stop being like kind of linear, kind of lazy, things like that. We got to get out. Spring is about to pop off, right? All praise to the Most High. Spring is about to pop off. What do we need to do? Get yourself some tomato. You can buy yourself a tomato. That's what I did last year. Last year, I grew a little bit of tomato. Like in the summertime, I didn't buy tomato. Why? Because I grow a lot. I grew also some mixed bell pepper. I grew some mixed bell pepper in my backyard. You see what I'm saying? Slowly we can do things, man. We can do little things. Because the Most High is watching over us with the angel, man. The Most High, he'll be protecting us. As long as we continue to do